2 million,
In under a minute, Jake Paul has knocked out Ben Askren.
Lasted like a minute, huh? I'm sure most of us have been in that situation before, and like with Jake Paul, the enthusiasm is entirely undeserved for all the big talk leading up to the main event. Hey Girl Scout, what's shakin'? How have you been? I'm still trying to fix my sleep schedule from staying up watching the Doja Cat and Justin Bieber concert, which has also been referred to as the Jake Paul-Ben Askren fight a few times. For real though, that slapping contest got more airtime than the two of them combined.
Okay, he's winding up. He's about to bitch slap. Oh, dear. 2, 3.
For those of you that are smart and didn't watch, I'm referring to what was meant to be a boxing match between the internet's favorite villain Jake Paul and retired MMA fighter Ben Askren, but ended up being a music fest ending with a one-round fight in which Jake Paul KO'd Ben immediately. Now I say all this and sound massively disappointed, but Pete Davidson seriously saved the night, and I thought we could look at how he did that and why Jake Paul wants to beat the shit out of him now. Starting off, we can look a bit at his interview with Jake Paul in the dressing room, where he sounds like he's been hit with a small dose of tranquilizer because of how out of it he is.
Like, so how are you feeling, like, how you...
Bro, you can't joke around about that.
No, I'm not.
As great as Jake Paul's hit on Ben was, nothing will beat the sucker punch of Pete asking Jake about his sexual assault allegations as the first interview question. Pleasantries are overrated. We want the good stuff. And he delivers.
We were gonna keep it really light, like mostly like what's your favorite color?
Yeah.
I can tell what it is.
What do you think it is? We'll say it on 3.
It's his too. I think it's yellow. No?
No.
Money?
No.
No.
Blue.
Blue?
Yeah.
I am so glad Jake can't understand comedy, because how would we have known otherwise that his favorite color was blue? This is the stuff the world has been dying to know. Not about his fame, his money, his drama. Nah, we keeping it real with the color talk. I just want to know who decided dressing the team up as a bunch of bananas was a good idea.
I also had questions about your robot. So is that a guy that works for you, and how involved is he? Like, is he around all the time?
No, that's a real robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Team Paul, baby.
The blank stare and just no awareness that Jack and Pete are teasing him makes this so hard to watch. But also, I'm a masochist and I live for the secondhand cringe.
Because this guy, Ben, is a real tool. So I'm really excited to, see him get his ass kicked.
Thank you, man.
I lost a lot of money on the Nate Robinson fight.
Oh, you bet against me?
Yeah, because I didn't know. I wasn't aware. Like, I had no idea.
Did you have to move back to your mom's house?
Yeah, I had to get a slightly smaller place
Staten
that I
Island.
had planned on.
So while it was weird that Pete drags Ben a little bit when he's clearly shown he's siding with him, Ben explains in an interview with Ariel Helwani that he had poked fun at Pete a little bit before the event for not really being a great pick for hosting a sporting event, and that's where it came from. More importantly though, was that comment from Jake. Jake really thinks he's clever with his little comment about moving back with mommy, and the fact that Pete tries so hard to help him out by laughing and joking back is just way too funny to me. It seems like the world caters to the dude because they think it's funny that he's so dumb and want to be able to poke fun, but also want to fly under the radar so he doesn't lash out at them. After enduring this and having Ben challenge him to show up to his room after calling him out like that, Pete rocks up to Ben's dressing room and really lets loose on what he thinks of Jake.
Nobody wants you to lose this. You know what I
Really?
mean?
You want me to win?
Yeah, nobody wants to see Jake Paul win. I have to be nice. You have to understand, I'm hosting. I have to be nice in there. He has 8 dudes standing around him with literally nothing
kind of
to lose.
embarrassing.
With nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And it's just you in here, so I feel actually a lot more safe.
And I'm even in my underwear too, so I can make you feel right at home.
Oh, that's great.
And I don't they study in acting school, like just pretend you're in your underwear?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah, believe me, nobody wants anything other than for you to, knock this guy on his ass.
I love how these two just completely bond over bashing Jake. The atmosphere in this interview is just so much chiller and less weird. I'm sure Jake needs those 8 guys in his room with him to keep flattering his ego and assuring him they'll back him in a fight if anyone talks shit. The fact that Ben doesn't need any assurance or hyping up shows his down-to-earthness, and him calling Jake out for it shows how little respect he has for the guy and made my respect for him shoot right up.
Why don't you like Jake? Just because he's a douche?
Well, I mean, do you have an hour? I mean,
Yeah, let's go. Let's shoot. I do.
I mean, he's not a good person. He's clearly, is not a good influence on any of the youth culture.
That's true.
He kind of has this whole, following, so he thinks he can kind of do whatever he wants. And like, didn't he like get busted by the feds with like AKs and like a bunch of machine guns? Like, why isn't he in jail?
I think he's
really
violated the law many times.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I have like, I could get the shit kicked out of me. Like when I enter a locker room and I see 9 dudes that could bench me plus some, I immediately fold and I'm just playing host. But yeah, nobody likes him. Everybody's rooting for you on this.
I love how as soon as he's given the chance, Pete just lets Jake have it. It's like he's been waiting the whole night to be able to say all this to make sure all the kids watching know how lame people think Jake is, and that he's on the side of those of us who cope with being less famous and rich than Jake by clinging on to the fact that we have better personalities than him, and that some people really do value that, so we'll eventually reach a place where we are content with our middle-class lives and are surrounded by people who make us feel richer than Jake could ever be.
Real celebrities don't like him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, yeah. This is a whole like circus of a joke. Of a
Okay.
thing. But that being said, the kid can totally kick my ass. Like I don't want anybody to think
Might doesn't make right, you know. I mean, fighting's obviously a part of life, but might doesn't make right. There's a lot of other things that go to life. You know, so it's like even if Jake Paul's a decent fighter, he's still a shitbag as a human being.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's what we're trying to get, you know, the message to the kids is that he is a piece of shit. Anyway, guys.
Pete, I didn't know we were talking about having so much fun.
Oh, no, we're here with Ben Askren before the fight. Good luck, Ben. Thank you so much for letting us come in here.
You got it.
I'm getting such dad vibes from Ben the more he talks to Pete. It's like as soon as he realizes Pete is a smart guy and is not some lost cause who cares about status, he can share his wisdom about being humble and down to earth and know that it might be getting through to people. While I don't think he cares about if people support him or not, I do think Ben is a lot like us, where he's just wondering how the world will progress when we have people idolizing trash bags like Jake Paul and aspiring to be like them, and hearing that he's the fan favorite is giving him the relief he needed to restore a bit of faith in humanity. Seems like Jake got what he deserved, but in all fairness to the guy, he does have a right to be pissed. He personally invited Pete to host, not expecting to be torn apart by the guy. And he talks about that night on the Impulsive podcast.
But there was a lot of people who were just not fans of the event.
Yeah.
And
he was making
spoke
light of
directly to those people. Those people who were like, I don't want to
But
see Saweetie. I want to see Jake Paul.
why were they watching if they weren't fans of the event?
Wait, hold on. That's your whole shtick.
People want to
Exactly.
see you lose, bro. Take their money and run.
It's nice to know that Logan has a little bit of self-awareness to bring up the family's average IQ. There's no denying that Pete's funny and that his commentary got people going. Jake just doesn't seem to get how bad the event was from an outsider's perspective, and how Pete not taking shit seriously at all made us all feel like we were in on the joke instead of being pranked. Also, I feel like Jake's brain is the equivalent of that delayed speech challenge where you try to talk while your own voice is being played back in your ear at a slight delay and you get confused and start talking nonsense. Everyone is literally telling the guy that everyone did want to see him fight and that it was the hours of waiting that got people heated. It feels like he's just on the defensive and ready to attack anyone who tries to call him out on being mentally inadequate. Everyone in the room of that podcast seems to have a silent understanding that Jake is a little bit slow to the game and that they can't roast him for it or else he'll have a temper tantrum. So instead, they really go above and beyond to try and act like Jake isn't asking stupid questions, which is just so sweet taking care of society's vulnerable like that. I wonder if Jake knows he's got the emotional and mental intelligence as a pile of rocks and lashes out like the school bully whose dad yells at him and he projects onto other kids, or if he's blissfully unaware and thinks that he's got it all going on.
By the way, it was my idea to like have him as the host of the event.
He talked to me. He wants to do all of the rest of them.
Fuck that guy. He won't do shit. He won't.
Wait, stop.
He won't ever be a part of one of those ever again. He fucked his shit up, bro.
And when I spoke to him backstage, he really did seem like enthralled by the whole. Like he was shocked that I guess you're a boxer and that like people care. He couldn't wrap his head around it. That's what he was kind of like poking fun at the whole time.
Now look, I won't say Pete is entirely innocent here. If you're being invited to an event, you gotta be on that shit. I thought Jake was gonna win because I know he's been diligently training for a long time. The fact that Pete didn't know is a bit unprofessional. But what Pete did know is exactly the kinds of people who would be watching, and that is a lot of people who don't like Jake Paul but knew he would put up a good fight. Pete rolled up and made the target audience laugh and trekked through the bullshit until the main event hit, and as far as I'm concerned, that's his job done. Like look, this wasn't some presidential speech event. It was 2 people punching each other. It's not that deep. And a little note to Jake, if you don't want people calling out the bad things you've done on live television, don't do them in the first place. I know, how unfair. Jake Paul is yet another victim to society's biased ways and disgusting free speech. Tragic. So what do I think of all this? Well, I knew Jake would win regardless, because let's be honest here, he picked an easy fight. dad bod, decade older, fresh out of major surgery. I don't doubt Jake trained hard every day, but it seems like a cop-out when you're picking people who are weary about getting injured and maybe hold back from going as hard as they did in their prime. And I'm not sure if he's aware, but Ben doesn't care about him. He doesn't care that Jake's a popular celebrity. Taunting him doesn't affect him because he's a grown-up and is over the playground name-calling, and he took the fight even though he thought no one would be on his side because, again, he gives no shits. He has a wife and kids. He's more concerned with them having good grades than engaging in drama with a man-child with a god complex. I'm sure Ben's laughing all the way to the bank with his family, happy not to have sustained any injuries and holding a cool stack of cash to use to better their lives because that is what matters to this guy. As for Pete Davidson, I think he was absolutely hilarious and he made the night. Jake couldn't take Pete's comments for 2 reasons. 1, because his ego is fragile and he can't take criticism, and 2, because everything he was saying was true. At the end of the day, Jake Paul is an influencer first and a boxer second, and clearly Pete thinks that just because he's disciplined in the ring, he still has to be held accountable for shit outside in the real world. Anyone can see the guy is focused and determined during his fights, but 3 minutes of ambition cannot undo years of allegations and scandals, sorry. Also, I hated everything that Triller did. The fight was a decent amount of money, and we were paying to see the fight as a main event, not some side story of a shitty music festival. They couldn't even get the camera angles and lighting right. Everything was shoddy, dark, and downright unprofessional. Also, the performances were very, very promiscuous, and it makes me wonder if anyone is actually aware of who's going to be watching the fight. I boiled it down to 2 streams of watchers. 1, the Jake Paul fans. They're like 9 years old and probably had to beg their parents to stay up late to watch and were promptly sent to bed when a bunch of half-naked gals were shaking their asses nonstop for 4 hours. And 2, the rest of us. We are hate watching and just wanted to see the fight itself so we could make content. I know on my end, we literally muted all the performances and did other things until the fight started because none of it interested us. It's cool to get some big-name celebrities involved, but it should have been like 20 minutes of performances to give the guys time to wrap their hands and stuff. If anything, people are just annoyed with the people who were there because them singing 5 songs forced us to stay up an extra 2 hours for something that should have been over by 11:02 p.m. What are your thoughts on the fight? Leave a comment down below if you want. And that's everything from me. Hope you all have an amazing week, and I'll see you guys again soon. Peace out, Girl Scouts. Thanks for watching.